The massive space station called Nexus Prime floated silently in the void between star systems. Inside its gleaming halls, representatives from 12 different alien civilizations gathered for what would become the most important meeting in galactic history. The air recyclers hummed quietly as beings of various shapes and sizes took their positions around the circular council chamber. Delegate Zephyr of the Altarian Republic stood nervously at the center of the room. His crystalline body caught the artificial light and threw rainbow patterns across the walls. His forearms trembled slightly as he prepared to address the council. For 30 years he had studied the small blue planet in the Orion Arm, and what he had learned kept him awake during his rest cycles. The first to speak was Commander Vex of the Velkari Empire. The reptilian warrior's scales gleamed like polished metal as he gestured toward a holographic display showing Earth. His voice carried the confidence of someone who had conquered 17 worlds without losing a single battle. Fellow delegates, we waste time with this discussion, Vex declared. The third planet of the Sol system contains more fresh water than 6 of our core worlds combined. Its atmosphere is perfect for most of our species. The native inhabitants use primitive chemical rockets to barely reach their own moon. They fight amongst themselves with crude weapons. This is not conquest, it is harvesting. Several delegates nodded in agreement. The Thorian Collective's representative, a being that looked like living metal, projected images of Earth cities and military installations. The human technology appeared laughably simple compared to galactic standards. Their fastest aircraft moved slower than civilian transport vessels used by most civilizations. Delegate Kara from the Centauri Union raised one of her 6 arms. Her voice carried a musical quality that made translation difficult, but her meaning was clear. Our economic projections show that acquiring Earth's resources would solve the mineral shortages affecting 3 sectors. The planet's inhabitants cannot possibly resist our technology. We could complete occupation within 2 of their local years. Zephyr watched the discussion with growing alarm. He had spent decades not just observing Earth but studying its history, while other scouts counted weapons and measured technological capabilities. He had dug deeper into human behavior patterns. What he found terrified him more than any weapon ever could. Honored delegates, Zephyr finally spoke, his crystalline voice ringing through the chamber. I must respectfully disagree with these assessments. Yes, humans appear primitive by our standards. Yes, their technology seems crude, but you have not studied what makes them truly dangerous. The chamber fell silent. Commander Vex's scarred face showed amusement. Enlighten us, Delegate Zephyr. What could possibly make these creatures dangerous to the combined might of our fleets? Zephyr activated his own holographic projector. Images of human history began flowing through the air. Battlefields from every era of human civilization appeared in ghostly detail. Humans have been at war with themselves for their entire recorded history. Not occasional conflicts over resources, but constant, never-ending warfare. They have turned killing into both science and art. The Thorian representative's metallic form shifted dismissively. Many species have warlike periods. They grow beyond such primitive behavior when faced with superior force. No, Zephyr's voice cracked with urgency. You do not understand. Humans do not just fight wars. They study failure and learn from it. Watch this. New images appeared showing human military evolution. Stone tools became bronze weapons. Bronze became iron. Iron became steel. Gunpowder led to cannons, then rifles, then automatic weapons. Aircraft went from wooden biplanes to supersonic jets in less than 50 years. This is normal technological advancement, Kara observed. Zephyr's form pulsed brighter. In their year 1903, humans achieved powered flight for 12 seconds. In 1969, they landed on their moon. 66 years to go from barely leaving the ground to reaching another celestial body. Most species take centuries to accomplish such advancement. Commander Vex leaned forward. Impressive for primitives, but irrelevant. Our weapons can destroy their cities from orbit before they know we exist. Can they? Zephyr asked quietly. He showed new images. These are humans in their most desperate moments. When their species faced extinction from disease, they created medicine. When they faced starvation, they revolutionized agriculture. When they faced environmental collapse, they developed new technologies. But most importantly, when they face impossible odds in warfare, they do something unprecedented. The chamber waited. They adapt faster than any species in galactic records. During their Second World War, human aircraft designers would observe enemy technology in combat and have improved versions flying within months. Their soldiers would encounter new weapons and develop counters in weeks. They took the concept of atomic energy from theory to city-destroying weapons in 3 years. A new delegate spoke from the shadows. The umbral hierarchy rarely participated in council meetings, preferring to observe. When they did speak, others listened. What evidence supports these claims beyond historical data? Zephyr hesitated. What he was about to reveal would change everything. We are not the first to scout Earth. The Zephyrian explorers made contact 40 years ago. 3 ships, advanced reconnaissance technology, standard first contact protocols. The silence that followed was deafening. The humans destroyed all 3 vessels using modified versions of their own primitive rockets. They reverse-engineered Zephyrian technology and improved upon it within weeks. The survivors reported that humans seemed to treat the encounter as a learning experience rather than a terrifying first contact with superior beings. Commander Vex's scales darkened with anger. Why was this information not shared? The Zephyrian High Command classified it as an anomaly. They believed their advanced team had made tactical errors, but I have studied the encounter records. Humans did not panic. They did not surrender. They analyzed, adapted, and attacked, all within 6 local days. More uncomfortable shifting around the chamber. Several delegates began accessing their own intelligence networks, searching for confirmation of Zephyr's claims. The Altarian continued, his voice growing more desperate. There is something else. Humans possess a psychological trait that appears in their literature, their entertainment, their entire cultural framework. When faced with impossible odds, when defeat seems certain, when any rational species would surrender, they become more dangerous, not less. The holographic display showed human entertainment media, movies about underdogs defeating superior forces, books celebrating last stands against overwhelming enemies, music that glorified fighting against hopeless odds. This is their mindset, Zephyr explained. They do not see superior technology as a reason to surrender. They see it as a puzzle to solve. They do not fear extinction. They see it as motivation to fight harder. Invading Earth will not result in easy conquest. It will awaken something in humanity that will change the balance of power in this galaxy forever. The chamber erupted in discussion. Some delegates dismissed Zephyr's warnings as cowardice. Others demanded more intelligence on human capabilities. A few quietly began calculating the political implications of a failed invasion. Commander Vex stood, his massive frame towering over the central platform. Delegate Zephyr speaks of fear and speculation. I speak of facts. The Valkyrie Empire has never failed to conquer a world we have targeted. Earth will not be the first. The vote was called. Despite Zephyr's passionate presentation, the Federation Council authorized the invasion by a margin of 7-5. As delegates filed out of the chamber, making preparations for what they believed would be a simple occupation, Zephyr remained at the central platform. He accessed his private communication array and composed a message that would mark him as a traitor to his own species. The transmission was aimed at Earth, specifically at the radio telescope arrays that humans used to search for extraterrestrial life. The message was simple and direct. They are coming. Prepare yourselves. You have 6 months. As Nexus Prime continued its silent orbit, Zephyr wondered if he had just saved the galaxy from humanity or doomed it to something far worse than invasion. Either way, the universe was about to discover what happened when someone threatened the small blue planet that bred survivors. 3 months had passed since the council meeting on Nexus Prime, when the first Valkyrie ships appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system. Commander Thex stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the small blue planet grow larger on his displays. His confidence filled the command center as he reviewed the invasion plans one final time. The Valkyrie fleet consisted of 3 destroyer-class vessels, each one capable of reducing a city to ash within minutes. Vex had used similar forces to conquer 17 worlds in the past decade. His shock troops carried pacification weapons designed to disable entire populations without damaging valuable infrastructure. Everything about this mission seemed routine, deep. In the mountains of Colorado, Dr. Lisa Morgan sat in front of her monitoring equipment at the Deep Space Research Station. She had been tracking unusual signals for 3 days, but the readings made no sense according to known physics. The objects were too large to be asteroids and moving too fast to be natural phenomena. When her computers finally calculated their trajectory, her coffee mug slipped from her trembling hands. Lisa grabbed her secure phone and dialed the emergency number she had memorized but hoped never to use. Within minutes, her call reached the Pentagon, where General Paul Wright was reviewing routine military reports. The conversation that followed would change everything. General Wright, this is Dr. Morgan at Deep Space Monitoring. We have 3 unknown objects approaching Earth at impossible speeds. They will reach orbital distance in approximately 6 hours. The general's voice remained calm despite the implications. Dr. Morgan, are you certain these are not natural phenomena or equipment malfunctions? Sir, I have triple-checked everything. These objects are under intelligent control, and they are not from Earth. We are looking at humanity's first confirmed contact with extraterrestrial intelligence. Within 30 minutes, President Jack Coleman sat in the Situation Room surrounded by his top advisors. Admiral Susan Hayes spread satellite images across the table while General Wright explained the tactical situation. The room buzzed with nervous energy as humanity's leaders faced the impossible. What are our options? President Coleman asked. General Wright cleared his throat. Sir, we have Colonel Steve Martinez airborne in an experimental F-35 equipped with our latest plasma weapon systems. It was scheduled for routine testing, but given the circumstances, he is our best immediate response option. High above the Pacific Ocean, Colonel Martinez received the strangest briefing of his military career through his encrypted communication system. As he processed the information that humanity was about to meet alien visitors, his training kicked in, fear became focus, uncertainty became determination. Commander Thex prepared to broadcast the standard surrender ultimatum that had worked on every previous world. The message was simple and had never failed to produce immediate compliance. He activated his communication array and sent the transmission toward the primitive planet below. Inhabitants of the 3rd planet, you are now subjects of the Valkyrie Empire. Surrender your military forces and prepare for occupation. Resistance will result in the destruction of your population centers. You have one of your local hours to comply. The response came faster than Thex expected. A single voice, speaking in what his translation systems identified as a dominant Earth language, crackled through his communication system. Unknown vessel. This is United States Air Force Colonel Steve Martinez. You have entered restricted airspace without authorization. Identify yourself and state your intentions immediately, or you will be considered hostile. Thex stared at his communication officer in disbelief. The primitive human was giving him orders. On 17 previous worlds, the initial contact had resulted in immediate panic and surrender. This human sounded annoyed rather than terrified. Primitive being, you do not understand your situation. We possess technology beyond your comprehension. Submit now or face annihilation. Martinez's response made Thex's translator system struggle with unfamiliar concepts. Listen here, you oversized space turkey. This is Earth airspace and you are not welcome. You have 30 seconds to change course and leave our solar system before I light you up like a Christmas tree. The cultural references meant nothing to Thex, but the tone was unmistakably aggressive. No species had ever responded to Valkyrie demands with threats. His tactical officer suggested that the human might be suffering from some form of mental breakdown caused by first contact trauma. Fire warning shots near the primitive craft, Dex ordered. Perhaps a demonstration of our power will restore their sanity. The plasma bursts from the escort vessels illuminated the darkness of space as they passed dangerously close to Martinez's aircraft. On 17 previous worlds, such demonstrations had ended all resistance immediately. Instead, the human's voice returned with what the translator identified as amusement. Well, now you have gone and done it. You just fired on a United States military aircraft in United States airspace. That makes this an act of war. Hope you boys are ready for what comes next. What came next was unlike anything in Valkyrie military. History: Martinez's F-35 accelerated toward the alien vessels at full speed while launching everything in his weapons inventory. The plasma systems, still experimental and temperamental, somehow fired perfectly coordinated bursts that struck the nearest escort vessel. Vex watched in horror as his escort's shields flared and actually sustained damage from primitive human weapons. The tactical displays showed impossible readings. The human aircraft was performing maneuvers that should have killed the pilot from excessive force, yet it continued to attack with precision that matched their own computer-guided systems. How is this possible? Dex demanded from his weapons officer. Sir, the human appears to be manually piloting his craft while simultaneously operating multiple weapon systems. Our computers indicate this should be impossible for organic beings to accomplish. Martinez's voice filled their communication channels again, now accompanied by what sounded like human music. Come on, boys, is that all you got? My grandmother hits harder than that, and she has been dead for 10 years. The escort vessel that had taken damage began emergency maneuvers, but Martinez anticipated the movement and launched another volley. This time, the plasma bursts penetrated the alien shields and caused visible explosions along the ship's hull. Vex's confidence evaporated as he realized that one primitive human in a single aircraft was not only fighting 3 advanced warships, but actually winning. His tactical systems had no protocols for this situation. Every war game, every simulation, every previous conquest had assumed that primitive species would surrender when faced with superior technology. Sir, his communication officer reported, we are receiving transmissions from the planet's surface. Multiple military installations are activating and we detect spacecraft launching from several locations. The main display showed dozens of human aircraft rising from Earth's surface. They were primitive by Valkyrie standards, but they moved with purpose and coordination that suggested sophisticated command systems. More disturbing was the rate at which they appeared. The humans were responding faster than any civilization in galactic records. Martinez's aircraft danced between plasma bursts from all 3 alien vessels while continuing his relentless attack. His weapons were clearly inferior to Valkyrie technology, but he used them with deadly effectiveness. When his plasma systems overheated, he switched to conventional missiles. When those ran low, he used his aircraft itself as a weapon, forcing the aliens to maneuver defensively. This human fights like he has nothing to lose, Vex's tactical officer observed. No, Vex replied as understanding dawned on him. He fights like he has everything to protect. The battle continued for 2 hours as more human aircraft joined the fight. Each pilot seemed to learn from Martinez's tactics while adding innovations of their own. They coordinated attacks, shared targeting information, and adapted to alien defensive measures in real time. When Vex finally ordered a retreat to the outer solar system, his fleet had sustained damage to all 3 vessels and lost 17 crew members. The humans had lost 9 aircraft, but their pilots had ejected, safely in most cases. More importantly, they had proven that Earth would not surrender without a fight. As the Valkyrie ships limped away from Earth, Vex composed the most difficult report of his career. He had to explain to the Valkyrie High Command how a single human pilot had fought 3 advanced warships to a standstill using primitive weapons and impossible flying skills on Earth. Colonel Martinez landed his damaged aircraft at Edwards Air Force Base, where General Wright waited with teams of engineers and scientists. The first battle between humanity and the galaxy had ended, but everyone knew it was only the beginning. The message was clear. Earth would not go quietly into alien occupation. The news of first contact spread across Earth faster than any information in human history. Within 6 hours of Colonel Martinez's aerial battle, every major government had activated their emergency protocols. Military bases worldwide buzzed with activity as humanity prepared for something they had only imagined in science fiction movies. Dr. Jennifer Clark found herself pulled from her theoretical physics laboratory at MIT and rushed to a classified facility in Nevada. She had been working on experimental energy systems that most scientists considered impossible, but suddenly her impossible theories were exactly what the military needed. The debris recovered from the damaged alien escort vessel sat on examination tables like technological treasure. Dr. Clark, General Wright explained as he escorted her through the secure facility, "We need you to figure out how their weapons work and how we can build better ones. You have resources that most scientists only dream about in a timeline that would normally be considered insane." Jennifer stared at the alien metal fragments that seemed to shift color depending on the angle of observation. Her scientific mind raced with possibilities while her practical side wondered if she had lost her sanity. "General, this technology appears to be centuries ahead of anything we understand. I'm not sure where to begin." "Begin anywhere," Wright replied. "We have reports that more alien ships are gathering at the edge of our solar system. The next attack will not be 3 vessels with overconfident commanders. We need weapons, shields, anything that can level the playing field." Across the country. In Detroit, factory worker Danny Rodriguez received the strangest assignment of his career. The government had converted 3 automobile manufacturing plants into alien technology research centers overnight. Danny's job was to figure out how to mass-produce whatever the scientists discovered, using equipment designed to build cars and trucks. "They want us to build space weapons using assembly lines meant for sedans," Danny explained to his team of confused engineers and mechanics. "I have seen some crazy military contracts, but this takes first place." The alien debris presented challenges that human manufacturing had never encountered. The materials responded to electromagnetic fields in ways that defied known physics. Traditional tools either had no effect or caused the fragments to become dangerously unstable. Danny's team had to invent entirely new construction methods while working around the clock. Meanwhile, in the Nevada desert, Marine Captain Lisa Thompson prepared for what everyone hoped would never happen. Intelligence reports suggested that alien ground forces were likely to attempt landing operations if their space battles failed. Her job was to organize Earth's first extraterrestrial combat unit. "Marines, we are about to face enemies that we know nothing about, except that they have better technology and probably more experience," Captain Thompson addressed her assembled troops. "What we do know is that they bleed, their ships can be damaged, and they were not expecting us to fight back. That gives us advantages they do not anticipate." Sergeant Mike Kelly, the unit's demolitions expert, raised his hand. "Captain, what kind of weapons are we looking at from these aliens?" "Unknown, Sergeant. But we are assuming they can destroy our vehicles and fortifications easily." "That means we fight like our grandparents did in World War II. We dig deep, move fast, and make every shot count." The Marines began training for combat scenarios that no human had ever imagined. They practiced fighting enemies that might be stronger, faster, or completely different from Earth biology. Thompson insisted on flexibility above all else, knowing that their first assumptions about alien tactics would probably be completely wrong. Back at the research facility, Dr. Clark made the first breakthrough when she realized that alien technology was not actually more advanced than human science, just based on completely different principles. Where humans used electricity and magnetism, the aliens used what appeared to be controlled gravity fields and exotic matter states. "This is not magic," she explained to the assembled team of physicists and engineers. "This is physics we have not discovered yet." The good news is that once we understand the basic principles, we can probably improve on their designs. Jennifer's confidence proved justified when her team successfully activated a piece of alien equipment for the first time. The device was apparently a simple tool for cutting metal, but it sliced through 6 inches of steel like butter. More importantly, her instruments recorded exactly how it worked. Danny Rodriguez received the technical specifications for humanity's first reverse-engineered alien weapon 3 days later. The plans called for manufacturing tolerances that were theoretically impossible with Earth technology, but Danny had never met a manufacturing problem he could not solve with enough creativity and determination. "We cannot build this the way the aliens did," Danny told his team. "But we can build something that does the same job using methods they probably never considered." The first human-built alien weapon came off the production line looking nothing like its extraterrestrial counterpart. Where the alien device was elegant and seamlessly constructed, the human version was crude and obviously manufactured. But when they tested it against the same steel target, it performed exactly the same function. Captain Thompson received the first batch of hybrid weapons 2 weeks after the initial contact. The devices were heavy, unreliable, and required constant maintenance, but they could cut through materials that conventional weapons could not touch. More importantly, her Marines could understand how they worked well enough to field repair them during combat. The real test came when Valkyrie drop pods began landing in remote areas of Nevada and Arizona. The aliens had learned from their first encounter and avoided major population centers, choosing to establish small outposts where they could study human responses without facing overwhelming numbers. Thompson's Marines engaged the first alien ground force near a small desert town called Clearwater. The encounter lasted only minutes, but it provided crucial intelligence about enemy capabilities and tactics. The aliens were indeed stronger and faster than humans, but they moved with the caution of soldiers who expected easy victory against primitive enemies. "They fight like they are afraid of breaking something valuable," Sergeant Kelly observed after the skirmish. "They have better equipment, but they use it carefully instead of aggressively." The Marines discovered that human tactics completely confused the alien ground forces. Where the Valkyrie expected organized formations and conventional strategies, the humans used improvised weapons, irregular warfare, and tactics that seemed to change minute by minute. Corporal Amy Foster, the unit's communications specialist, coordinated with civilian volunteers who provided intelligence and support. Local farmers used modified agricultural equipment to harass alien patrols. Construction workers operated heavy machinery as improvised weapons platforms. Even teenagers with hunting rifles provided useful reconnaissance information. The most famous incident occurred when a farmer named Bob Jackson encountered an alien patrol near his property. Instead of fleeing or hiding, Jackson used his combine harvester to ram the alien transport vehicle while his neighbors provided covering fire with deer rifles. The attack destroyed the alien vehicle and forced the survivors to retreat on foot. News of Jackson's victory spread across social media faster than official military reports. Within hours, similar improvised attacks were occurring wherever aliens established outposts. Humanity was fighting back using everything from crop dusters to construction cranes, turning the invasion into a nightmare of unpredictable resistance. Commander Vex found himself composing increasingly desperate reports to the Valkyrie High Command. His ground forces were supposed to establish secure zones for resource extraction, but instead they were trapped in isolated outposts under constant harassment from enemies, who used weapons and tactics that violated every known principle of warfare. The humans were not just resisting the invasion, they were learning from every encounter and sharing information at impossible speeds. Each engagement taught them more about Valkyrie weaknesses while revealing new human capabilities that no intelligence report had predicted. As the first month of the invasion ended, it became clear that Earth would not fall quickly or easily. The humans had proven that superior technology meant nothing without the will to use it effectively, and that primitive weapons in creative hands could be more dangerous than advanced systems used conventionally. 6 months after first contact, the Valkyrie Empire committed 50 warships to what they called the final solution for Earth. Fleet Admiral Korex commanded the massive force from his flagship, confident that overwhelming numbers would succeed, where previous tactics had failed. The alien fleet approached Earth's solar system like a storm of destruction, ready to eliminate human resistance once and for all, but Earth was no longer the same planet that had faced 3 alien vessels with a single experimental fighter. General Patricia Stone stood in the newly constructed command center deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, surrounded by screens showing defensive positions across the globe. The international coalition she commanded represented something unprecedented. In human history, every nation working together against a common threat. Admiral Corex probably expects to find the same primitive planet his scouts reported, General Stone remarked to her staff. He is about to discover how quickly humans learn, when their survival depends on it. The transformation of human technology in just 6 months amazed even the scientists who had made it possible. Dr. Ronald Parker led Project Defiance from a facility that had been a shopping mall before the invasion. His team of brilliant minds had cracked alien science and improved upon it using methods that would have horrified any respectable galactic engineer. We cannot match their manufacturing precision or their exotic materials, Dr. Parker explained to the assembled researchers. But we can build weapons that are more powerful because we are not afraid to take risks they would never consider. Dr. Helen Carter, the nuclear physicist on Parker's team, had created the first human-alien hybrid reactor using parts from a damaged Valkyrie power core and components from a nuclear submarine. The device violated several laws of physics and at least 12 safety regulations, but it produced more energy than anything previously built by human hands. The aliens build their technology to last for centuries without maintenance, Carter observed while monitoring her dangerous creation. We build ours to work perfectly for exactly as long as we need it to work. That philosophy makes all the difference. Computer specialist Dr. Brandon Lee had achieved something that Valkyrie engineers considered impossible. He had hacked their computer systems using human programming methods that their security could not understand. His breakthrough allowed human forces to intercept alien communications and predict their battle strategies. Their computers are more advanced than ours, but they think in very rigid patterns, Lee explained. Human computer logic is chaotic compared to theirs, which makes us unpredictable. They cannot defend against attacks that follow no logical structure. The real test of human advancement came when Admiral Corex's fleet reached the outer edge of the solar system and encountered Luna Station. The hastily converted mining platform orbited Earth's moon under the command of Captain Jake Morrison, a former Navy pilot who had volunteered for what everyone assumed was a suicide mission. Morrison's crew consisted entirely of volunteers who understood they would probably not survive the battle. Engineer Nancy Roberts had designed the station's weapon systems using alien technology combined with human mining equipment. Tactical Officer Lieutenant Carl Davis coordinated defense systems that existed nowhere in any military manual. "Remember, people," Captain Morrison announced over the station's communication system, "we are not trying to win this fight. We are trying to teach these aliens that attacking Earth costs more than they want to pay." When the Valkyrie fleet detected Luna Station, Admiral Corex initially dismissed it as a minor obstacle. His tactical displays showed what appeared to be a primitive mining facility with crude weapons that posed no threat to advanced warships. He assigned a single destroyer to eliminate the station while the main fleet continued toward Earth. The destroyer approached Luna Station with casual confidence, planning to destroy the human outpost with a single volley from its primary weapons. Captain Morrison waited until the alien ship entered the gravity well between Earth and its moon before springing his trap. Luna Station had been built around the core of an asteroid mining laser that could slice through solid rock from thousands of kilometers away. Nancy Roberts had modified the system using Valkyrie power cores and focusing crystals stolen from damaged alien equipment. The result was a weapon that should not have been possible to construct with available materials. "Fire," Morrison ordered quietly. The modified mining laser struck the Valkyrie destroyer with concentrated energy that equaled the output of a small star for exactly 2.3 seconds before burning out completely. The alien vessel, designed to withstand conventional weapons, simply vaporized. The explosion was visible from Earth's surface as a brief, new star in the night sky. Admiral Korex stared at his tactical displays in disbelief. One primitive human outpost had just destroyed a Valkyrie destroyer using a weapon that his sensors could not even classify. Worse, the energy readings suggested that the humans had somehow combined their crude technology with Valkyrie systems to create something neither civilization could have built alone. How is this possible? Korex demanded from his science officer. Admiral, our analysis indicates the humans are not simply copying our technology. They are combining it with their own systems in ways our designers never intended. The results are unpredictable and often more powerful than the original components. The battle for Luna Station continued for 6 hours as Korex committed more ships to destroy what should have been a minor target. Captain Morrison's crew used every trick they could imagine, turning mining equipment into weapons and construction tools into defensive systems. When their main laser finally burned out, they used explosive charges meant for asteroid mining to create a debris field that damaged 3 more alien vessels. Luna Station was eventually destroyed, but not before, proving that humans could fight Valkyrie technology to a standstill using creativity and desperate courage. More importantly, the battle gave Earth's defenders precious time to complete their preparations for the main assault on Earth's surface. The ground war had evolved into something that no galactic military manual had ever described. Resistance. Leader Maria Santos coordinated guerrilla operations across 3 continents using communication methods that changed daily to avoid alien interception. Her forces included everyone from professional soldiers to teenagers with modified hunting rifles. Former NASA engineer Dr. Peter Walsh had developed countermeasures for alien surveillance technology by studying captured equipment and applying human engineering principles. His inventions allowed resistance fighters to move unseen through areas that should have been under complete enemy observation. The aliens relied too heavily on their advanced sensors, Walsh explained to a group of resistance leaders. They cannot imagine that primitive humans might have effective ways to hide from technology they do not understand. The guerrilla war frustrated Valkyrie ground commanders who had expected to establish secure bases and begin resource extraction operations. Instead, they found themselves trapped in fortified positions, constantly under attack from enemies who appeared and disappeared without warning. Every alien patrol that left their bases faced harassment from weapons that ranged from modified farm equipment to sophisticated booby traps created by human engineers. Construction equipment became mobile. Artillery platforms, civilian vehicles were converted into improvised tanks. Even children participated by providing intelligence about alien movements and helping to maintain communication networks. The psychological effect on Valkyrie forces was devastating. They had expected to face a primitive species that would surrender when confronted with superior technology. Instead, they encountered an enemy that seemed to become more dangerous as the conflict continued. Human tactics evolved daily, incorporating lessons learned from each engagement while developing new methods of attack that Valkyrie commanders could not predict. Admiral Korex realized that his 50-ship fleet was not fighting a single planet, but an entire species that had transformed itself into a weapon. The humans were not just defending their world, they were actively studying Valkyrie technology and creating improved versions faster than his own engineers could develop countermeasures. The final assault on Earth would not be the simple conquest that Valkyrie leadership had planned. It would be a test of whether superior technology could overcome unlimited human creativity and determination. The news of humanity's resistance against the Valkyrie Empire spread through the galaxy like wildfire, carried by trading vessels and diplomatic couriers to every corner of civilized space. On Nexus Prime, Delegate Zephyr watched the reports with growing amazement and terror. The warnings he had given months earlier were proving true in ways that exceeded even his worst fears. The Galactic Federation Council chamber buzzed with nervous energy as representatives from 12 civilizations tried to understand how a primitive species was systematically defeating one of the galaxy's most feared military powers. Holographic displays showed battle footage that seemed impossible, human fighters engaging Valkyrie, warships with improvised weapons and winning through tactics that violated every known principle of space combat. "This cannot be accurate," declared the Thorian Collective's representative, his metallic form shifting with agitation. "Our intelligence networks must be receiving false information designed to create panic." Delegate Zephyr activated his personal communication array and displayed the latest reports directly from Valkyrie command centers. "The information is accurate. Admiral Corax has lost 18 vessels in the past month. Human forces are not just defending their planet, they are actively hunting Valkyrie ships throughout their solar system." The truth was even more disturbing than the official report suggested. Humanity had done something unprecedented in galactic history. They had reverse-engineered alien technology and improved upon it using methods that should have been impossible. Every engagement taught them new lessons, and they applied those lessons faster than any species in recorded history. On Earth, President Jack Coleman stood before the United Nations General Assembly in New York, addressing not just his own species but the galaxy itself. Secretary of State Mary Johnson and Defense Secretary Frank Pierce flanked him as he prepared to deliver a message that would change interstellar politics forever. "Fellow humans and members of the galactic community who may be listening to this broadcast," President Coleman began, his voice carried across space by transmitters built from captured alien technology. "We have learned that our world was targeted for invasion because we were considered primitive and defenseless. That assessment was incorrect." The speech was broadcast using frequencies and methods that made it impossible for any civilization to ignore. Human engineers had not only cracked Valkyrie communication systems, but had improved them to reach every corner of the galaxy simultaneously. "We did not seek this conflict, but we will not allow anyone to threaten our world or our freedom. To those who would invade Earth, we offer this simple message: we will fight you with everything we have, and we will never surrender." The president's next words sent shockwaves through the galactic community. "However, to those civilizations that approach us in peace, we offer partnership, trade, and friendship. Humanity is ready to take its place among the stars, but we will do so on our own terms." In the shipyards of what had once been the Kennedy Space Center, Captain Julie Patterson supervised the final preparations for humanity's first interstellar vessel. The USS Liberty represented everything humans had learned about combining their own technology with alien science. The ship looked like nothing any galactic engineer had ever seen, but it was designed using principles that made Valkyrie vessels seem primitive by comparison. Chief Engineer Tony Clark had spent months creating propulsion systems that used human nuclear technology enhanced with Valkyrie power cores. The result was a faster-than-light drive that could outrun anything in the alien fleet, while using fuel sources that were abundant on Earth. Science Officer Dr. Karen White commanded a research team that had not only understood alien science but had discovered ways to improve it using human mathematical concepts that no other species had developed. Her instruments could detect Valkyrie ships at ranges that exceeded their own sensor capabilities. Security Chief Commander Rich Turner led a crew trained in combat methods that combined human military doctrine with captured alien weapons technology. His people were prepared for boarding actions, ship-to-ship combat, and tactical situations that no galactic military manual had ever considered. The Liberty's mission was simple in concept, but revolutionary in execution: carry the war directly to Valkyrie space and prove that Earth would not remain a passive target. The message was clear: if the galaxy wanted to fight humanity, the fight would not be limited to the solar system. When the Liberty launched on its maiden voyage, its destination was a Valkyrie military outpost 3 star systems away. The journey, that should have taken weeks using standard galactic technology, was completed in days, using human-improved faster-than-light systems. The Valkyrie garrison at Outpost Epsilon had no warning before human forces appeared in their star system. Captain Patterson's ship approached their defensive platforms, using stealth technology that combined human radar-absorbing materials with alien cloaking devices. The result was a vessel that was virtually invisible until it was close enough to attack. The battle lasted less than an hour. Valkyrie weapons designed to fight other galactic civilizations proved inadequate against human defensive systems that used unconventional materials and energy-dispersing techniques. When the Liberty departed, Outpost Epsilon was a drifting wreck, and its survivors were fleeing toward the galactic core with reports of human capabilities that their commanders would find difficult to believe. Similar attacks began occurring throughout Valkyrie space as more human vessels launched from Earth. Admiral Eric Thompson commanded a growing fleet of ships that bore little resemblance to traditional spacecraft, but outperformed anything the aliens could field. Each vessel was crewed by volunteers who understood they were fighting not just for Earth, but for humanity's right to exist as an independent species. The scientific revolution continued under the leadership of Dr. Sandy Miller, whose research teams made breakthroughs that redefined what was possible with the laws of physics. Human science, unrestrained by galactic conventions and safety protocols, achieved advances in months that typically required centuries of careful development. Back on Nexus Prime, the Galactic Federation Council faced a crisis that threatened the foundation of their civilization. Reports arrived daily of human forces appearing in star systems that should have been impossible for them to reach. The species they had dismissed as primitive was demonstrating technological capabilities that exceeded many established galactic powers. Delegate Zephyr received an official communication from Earth that changed everything. Ambassador Rachel Green appeared on his private communication screen, flanked by military advisor General Nick Foster and science advisor Dr. Roy Campbell. Her message was brief and delivered with the quiet confidence that had become characteristic of human diplomacy. Delegate Zephyr, we are aware of your attempts to warn the galactic community about the dangers of attacking Earth. We appreciate your efforts and would like to discuss establishing formal diplomatic relations between humanity and any civilizations interested in peaceful contact. The implications were staggering. Humanity was not just defending itself successfully. It was offering to join the galactic community as an equal partner rather than a conquered territory. The species that was supposed to be harvested for resources was instead proposing to revolutionize interstellar civilization. Ambassador Green continued with words that would echo through galactic history. We have learned much about galactic technology and politics during this conflict. We believe that human innovations, combined with the knowledge of established civilizations, could benefit everyone. However, any species that chooses to remain hostile to Earth will find that we are capable of defending ourselves far beyond our home system. As Zephyr processed this communication, alarms began sounding throughout Nexus Prime. The station's sensors had detected a human vessel approaching at impossible speeds. The ship appeared to be broadcasting peaceful intentions, but its mere presence proved that humanity could reach any location in the galaxy whenever they chose. The age of human expansion had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. The primitive species that was supposed to provide easy conquest had instead become a force that challenged every assumption about interstellar power and technology. Delegate Zephyr realized that his original warning had been inadequate. He had told the Council that invading Earth was madness, but he had failed to predict that humanity would not stop at mere defense. They had transformed themselves into something the galaxy had never seen, a species that treated impossible challenges as opportunities for advancement. The universe was about to discover what happened when human determination met galactic complacency, and the results would reshape civilization itself.